And let's remind ourselves that Bayern Munich, it's a home game in the Champions League final if they get there in Allianz. So this means so much to them. And we have talked about before how much this was so important for company, because he had some Alonso allergic. So he sorted that. He got a medicine in that 3-0 win.
Yeah, it's interesting, Jan, that you did say that as well, because there was actually a stat about it. Losing to teams in the bottom half of the table, I think it had been decades that the three had lost their games on the same day, but I don't have the exact stat. Maybe Ian Darke has something like that for me. But it's interesting, Mario, because we've seen even Ali Moreno's talking on this show now that he feels as though Xabi Alonso might be getting a little bit arrogant with some of his choices. After what had been such a successful campaign last year, maybe he's overthinking some of his choices this year.
I don't think arrogant. You know why? Because he's not, like if a human is arrogant, you understand, it doesn't change, you understand, really quickly. He's never been that person anyway. So if he becomes that, he's not himself. And I don't think at this point where he's now, you understand, in the situation he is, he will not be himself yet. Because it's a big game, and also he's a winner. Because, if you look at him as a footballer and then you look at him as a coach. So he wants to make an impression. They are competing because this game is two games. You have your players, you have your team, but also the two managers because they're young, they're rivalry against each other because you always want to play each other out. But the key thing is going to be now, you can't expose yourself too much, regardless if the game is going to be played at your own home. Because what is important, I said it at the beginning, prior to this game, Leverkusen played really well. They really picked them apart. And then the game came for the Champions League, where Bayern, I felt that was going to happen because I feel this is just a step ahead. And that doesn't mean that the players that Alonso has are not ready for it. No, they have quality. But sometimes when it comes to the big occasions, you have to be there instantly. There is no prepping for that. And I think that is why I land leaning to Bayern, because that club is built just to be ready for that. And Leverkusen, it takes a little bit more time to get to that level. And that's why I feel like... not arrogant, just reality.
Ian Darke, were you surprised to see the first leg result, the 3-0 win for Bayern?
Yeah, I didn't think they'd be that commanding. I think this is a huge lead, and I think those odds you just quoted at 50-1 on, I think that's about the size of it. Bayern Munich, I think, are too professional, and without Florian Wirtz in the lineup, I can't see Bayer Leverkusen turning that round at all. It's an interesting one, isn't it? Bayern, will they be playing in that final in their home stadium? I'm not totally convinced, but then I'm not totally convinced by many of the teams in this Champions League. I think it's pretty open, and the team I'd keep an eye on is Inter, who've only let in 1 goal in 9 matches in the Champions League so far.
There's nothing about, to your previous point, there's nothing about Xabi Alonso that screams arrogance to me. Measured, but nothing about him as a player and certainly in his couple of years as a coach screams arrogance.
Yes, absolutely. So does anyone pick Leverkusen to go through? I wonder if Jan stands alone in this. I know he's usually a Leverkusen favourite, but even you, Jan Aage Fjortoft, probably can't be that confident.
Well, I was live with Aage on the game against Eintracht Frankfurt. They looked very well. But the thing is, I had a chance to talk to Simon Rolfes, how they're doing, thinking of their season. They are the only reigning champion where people don't expect to win the league because Bayern's so desperate to win the league. But I'm not saying because we love Alonso. I mean, we all love Alonso. But there are games, and there has to be question mark when you play against Bayern the first leg, and they have a weakness at the back with Upamecano and Kim, always likely to do a mistake, and Alonso turns up without a striker. Who am I to judge Alonso on tactics? But it's just interesting that sometimes even Alonso's plans doesn't play out 100%. With Florian Wirtz, I would have probably been a Leverkusen lover, okay, and told you that I think they will go through. Now I think it's going to be very hard. That is the understatement of the night.
While we're talking about the players that he's choosing as well, Jan, let me stay with you to ask about the goalkeeper situation and this continued changing of the 2 goalkeepers.
Yeah, but it's interesting because there's a lot of things that are happening this season, and it did exactly the same thing last season. Changing player, bringing him around. Schick, he will play, and then he knows when the goals get tough, he's on the bench. That is a bit frustrating for him. Boniface, the goalkeeper situation. And we saw the first leg, the big mistakes being done there. Shaka would probably say that you should always know who is in the goal. Why should they be different? I never knew if I was I know some part of my career, but we could be swapped out. But it seems that the goalkeeper, they can't handle this pressure. Last season, he swapped around everything and he won the Bundesliga. But I would go back to the thing that Alonso has done all this before, and he will probably say to the goalkeepers, why should you guys be different? I play with the best one on the night.
But is he getting criticism for this back in Germany? Because obviously people would have been expecting to see Radetzky in a Champions League game of that magnitude, wouldn't they, Jan?
Yeah, they would, but it's interesting because we all got in love with Alonso last season. We would have left everybody we married to marry Alonso last season because we loved him. Everything he did was right, always at the end. He picked Schick, he picked Boniface, he didn't pick any other, and then Andriy scoring. So the criticism, that's the point I'm doing, because they're a reigning champion, and they go into, now there are, 8 points behind Bayern Munich. Imagine that was the other side, opposite, that Bayern will have won the league and will be 8 points behind Leverkusen. People will go after Max Eberl, go after company. Now they will be in the Bundesliga, and the reports I have from Bayern is that something could happen in the next couple of months if they don't go much longer in the Champions League. I'm not sure that will be company, but Max Eberl, something would happen. But at Leverkusen with Alonso, there's not a lot of criticism, nothing around his criticism.
And obviously he set the bar really high, Jan, given what he did achieve last season. If the same question I gave to Shaka, if they were to lose the Bundesliga to Bayern, if they were to get knocked out of the Champions League to Bayern, two things that are looking very likely right now, but obviously I will mention they do still have that Pokal Cup at stake for them. How will the season be viewed?
If that was Jan,
it was Jan.
Fjortoft.
It was you. Yes, Fjortoft.
Yeah, okay, yeah. I think that the main thing now for Leverkusen for the rest of months, say that they are knocked out of the Champions League, and then the last game of the season for them will be in Berlin. Wir fahren nach Berlin. That's the big thing, to go to the cup final. If they win that, this is a club not very used to winning trophies. But the two trophies that are most important now for Simon Rolfes and Caro, the CEO, is to keep Xabi Alonso. I think that is the biggest trophy they will have. I think that Florian Wirtz will stay at least for another season, but to keep Xabi Alonso now is even more important for Leverkusen than trophies.